Hello, welcome to the Boot Room. Andy, Warren, Stuart Watson. Looking ahead to Ipswich Town's long old trek up to Morecambe. Stu, we're gonna embark on our journey to the northwest in a few hours, but it's a journey Ipswich Town have never made before in the league. And it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Coming off the back of Tuesday night's 0-0 draw with Cheltenham.
Yeah, just the one visit there for an FA Cup tie back in 2001 when Ipswich were a Premier League side. Ipswich won 3-0 that day. Morecambe play a new ground since then. So uncharted territory for Ipswich Town, but they really need to get back on that win wagon, don't they, after two big drop points against Cheltenham on Tuesday night. A frustrating evening in the extreme, a game that 9 times out of 10 plus Ipswich win that game. They take one of those big first half chances and they win. Had they done so, the gap would have been 2 points. As it is, it's 4, and there's teams around them with games in hand. So 2 long trips to Lancashire, 2 big games against teams battling the drop. We're back up on the north-west seaside coast, aren't we, next weekend with Fleetwood. So they need to win at least one of these games, if not 2, don't they?
If not 2. This game takes us right the way back to the start of the 2021-22 season. Opening day, Morecambe came to Portman Road. Expectation was in the air. The squad had been rebuilt. Paul Cook was ready to go. The title, promotion, playoffs, they were all expected. And Morecambe humbled Ipswich a little bit that day. And it was the start of things to come, wasn't it, for that tough start? Cole Stockton scored twice, and Ipswich needed Macaulay Bond to drag them out of jail with a stoppage time equaliser. So we've already seen them give up 4 points up to promoted Cheltenham so far this season. They can't give up more points to Morecambe, can they? Another of the teams promoted from League Two.
No, they can't. But we've got the dreaded new manager bounce syndrome potential with Morecambe. Their manager Stephen Robinson left for St Mirren earlier this week. Very quickly, they've reappointed the man who Robinson replaced in Derek Adams, who led them to League Two promotion via the playoffs last year. He moved on to Bradford, but was sacked last week himself from Bradford in League Two, and all of a sudden he's back at his former club at Morecambe. So I'm sure he'll be a popular appointment. It'll be someone who knows the club that should be able to come in and make a quick impact, you would imagine. That said, Morecambe are in the relegation zone, and I had a little look at their record against teams in the top half. They've only taken 9 points from a possible 45, I think it is, against teams currently in the top half. One of those, as you've mentioned, came at Portman Road on the opening day. So it's a very winnable game for Ipswich Town, even with the new manager and everything that's going on up there. It's a game Ipswich can and should be winning, really, in their circumstances. So bit of fatigue in the second half performance in midweek. Let's see how some of these tired bodies and minds can respond after the long journey up.
Stu, we don't normally deviate in the boot room. I'm going to deviate off topic ever so slightly, so sue me. Have you seen who Bradford have appointed to replace Derek Adams?
Nope.
Mark Hughes.
Okay.
In League Two. Anyway, we don't need to analyse that.
It's a big club, Bradford. If someone can get them going, we talk about sort of big clubs in League One. I mean, Bradford should never be a team that's a club that's treading water in League Two. Look at the crowds they get. So interesting one, that.
Yeah. Anyway, back on topic. Sorry about that. Ipswich Town, we always talk about decisions Kieran McKenna needs to make. One is being forced on him, as it was on Tuesday night. Lee Evans is set for a few weeks on the sidelines. He's avoided surgery, which they feared could have meant his season over. He's avoided that, but he's out for weeks. Tom Carroll was the man given the job on Tuesday night against Cheltenham. But can you see him being given another shot at this? There's Tariq Backinson and Idris El Mazouni waiting in the wings.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think it's a major blow. There was a lot of noise about Ipswich missing Sam Morsey for 4-game suspension, and yes, they did. They missed his drive, his forward thrust in the middle of the pitch, his leadership qualities. But I think people have underestimated how much Ipswich have missed Lee Evans in recent weeks. He missed a few games with that groin injury he picked up in the warm-up against Accrington, came back into the side. Then he dropped out again through illness for a game, didn't he? So he's been in and out, but I thought he was outstanding in the 3-0 win against Burton last weekend. Caden Jackson rightly came away with the plaudits after his goal and 2 assists, but Lee Evans wasn't far off in terms of man of the match that day. And I think if you look at the 2-0 draw either side of that at MK Dons and against Cheltenham, I think Lee Evans is the missing link there. He doesn't jump off the page in terms of the things he does, but sitting in front of that back three, he allows the shackles to come off Sam Morsey. He adds a bit of physicality and height, and he can make the possession tick, which is what McKenna football is all about. So I think he's a big blow for these next few weeks. Ipswich, his best midfield partnership without doubt is Morsey and Evans, a partnership that was obviously made prior to the pair of them coming to Ipswich. But they're going to have to cope without him now, and it's an opportunity for someone else to step up. Tom Carroll, you can see the Premier League pedigree in terms of his technical play and his range of passing. Maybe a little bit lightweight at times. Fatigued badly in the second half. Someone who's had his fair share of injury troubles, and you wonder whether that will stop him going again for another start of the weekend. Tyreek Backinson didn't set the world alight in his first few games, but improved, didn't he? He got his goal at Doncaster and showed some of his qualities as well. And Idris El Mazuni's never let the team down when called upon. If you're looking for someone that's going to replace some of the physicality of Lee Evans, he would probably be the nearest fit. So, who do you reckon, Andy? Who's going to get the nod out of those three?
Well, I don't think any of them replace all parts of Evans' game. I think Carroll replaces the on-the-ball stuff. I think Backinson has got some of the physical elements, but we've also seen that physicality go missing at vital moments. Idris El Mazuni is a fairly good all-rounder, but probably doesn't quite have the thrust, I wouldn't say, of Lee Evans. But for me, I think Carroll is going to get his shot to replace Evans, but I think they might come in the home games where Town might expect to have more of the possession, a lot more of the possession, and teams sit off them a little bit. I think in a game where Derek Adams in particular on his first game back, and then especially at Fleetwood next week, they're not going to be games to suit Tom Carroll. I think we might see Backinson for the next two, and then I think Carroll will have a shot when Ipswich are back at home in the possession games potentially. But for both of those two, I think that could make or break their Ipswich careers from this point. If they get Tom Carroll obviously out of contract, if he gets a run, it's a chance to earn another one. Town have an option to buy Backinson, and if he gets a chance to play and impresses, that it might mean that they push to do that. But I do wonder where Idris fits into this. He's not been kind of making the bench particularly regularly of late. He did start at Sheffield Wednesday, but like you say, I think he's maybe the best all-rounder out of all of them. So I would hope that he would get some time in his spot as well. But I'd go Backinson this weekend, but I don't think we're looking for a Lee Evans replacement here. I think it's going to be done by committee for however many weeks we're talking.
Yeah, I think I might go Idris if it was my call. I think for a long trip, tough away game, just replace some of that physicality and then hope that your forward players get firing again, because that is the missing ingredient for Ipswich Town at the moment. They're keeping clean sheets. Another one, a 6th in a row, would be a club record. They're dominating possession. They're creating chances. Just need to get a striker on a hot streak again, don't they? It's Macaulay Bonne, I think 1 in 19 now. James Norwood came back into the team in December, had that little flurry of goals, 4 in 5, I think it was. He's now 8 games without a goal. Piggott, his stop-start career at Ipswich Town just hasn't got off the ground. He's a long time since he's last scored. And Caden Jackson, as well as he played against Burton last weekend, that did end quite a lengthy goal drought for him. And he was substituted in midweek in the second half. So that just seems to be, if Ipswich could get a striker back on a hot streak, that could be the difference, couldn't it, over these next few weeks? So it's going to be fascinating to see which three players get the nod in that top end of the pitch.
Yeah, so it was Jackson, Selina, and Chaplin on Tuesday night. We were talking about that on our Kings of Anglia podcast this week, and I still, whenever we talk about this, my first port of call is always still Macaulay Bonne. I don't know if that's me kind of holding on to what he's done earlier in the season or not, but he's kind of the first one I land on when I think about this, and I think I'd be tempted to do that again. He's not had much football recently. He didn't make much of an impact from the bench on Tuesday, but I think I'd go with him again. I've got a front three of Bonne, Selina, and Sonny Aluko written down here. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do, Stu, but that's what I've got on my sheet.
I don't know if we've seen Selina and Aluko play together yet. When it's been the double number 10s, it's always been Chaplin and Selina, hasn't it? But Selina and Aluko might be worth a look at some point. The three I've got written down is back to the three that were in for the first few games under McKenna, that kind of stuck in after McGrill's caretaker spell, and when it was the same team week after week, right up until that Bolton game. And that's the Bash brothers of Bonne and Norwood up front with Sonny Aluko in behind. I just wonder, in that search for goals, I think that there will be a few changes because of the nature of that second half and some of the fatigue in amongst the players. Jackson was outstanding against Burton, but he's not played a great deal of football. Maybe tired a little bit in the second half on Tuesday. That's the three I've got down, but your guess and everyone else's guess is as good as mine. Who knows?
I'm convinced we'll see James Norwood start one of these two games. The Fleetwood game in particular feels like it's got him written all over it in the next couple of weeks. So
fighting Toto and Ciala for 90 minutes.
I honestly think that's got him written all over it, and I wouldn't be completely surprised if you're right with what you've predicted, actually. But
I think I'd have Caden Jackson up against Toto if you're looking for someone that can expose some of Toto's flaws, where don't go to war with Toto NCR winning headers, get runners in behind him, get him on the turn, get him making desperate tackles in the box. But we're getting ahead of ourselves there. Highbury is a week on. This is Morecambe this weekend, and we talked about strikers scoring goals. You mentioned him earlier, Cole Stockton. I don't know what he's on now.
21.
21, and his tally has been ticking over quite nicely there. So he's certainly the threat for the Shrimps.
He sure is. Crucial, Shrimps, not Shrimpers. The Shrimpers are Southend. Morecambe are the Shrimps. Very, very different. Prediction time, Stu. Let's finish off with a prediction on everything else we've done regarding this week, podcasts and everywhere. I've predicted 2-1, so I'm sticking with that.
1-0 Ipswich,
and a clean sheet record.
Another clean, the clean sheet record will fall. Ipswich, I think there'll be times where this is nervy and worrying, and but Ipswich to just grind out a 1-0 by hook or crook. That's what I'm going for.
Welcome to the grindhouse. Hope you're right, Stuart Watson. Let's hit the road. Let's get up to Morecambe and see if Town can come back with 3 more big points.